Hoo boy, do we have a lot to unpack today, Monday, September 22nd, 2025. 2 days after, was it the Great Plains robbery of the Auburn football program? Was an SEC victory stolen from the Tigers? Was it a part of a conspiracy? Was it straight piracy? And the real bottom line here is, hey, Auburn, paranoia will destroy you. Wish we could play the Kinks song of that title from back in the 1960s. Darn those copyright laws. So we're going to get into it. What happened in Norman, Oklahoma on Saturday in what could have been, what would have been, maybe what should have been Hugh Freeze's biggest victory in his 2+ years as the Auburn coach. But it was not to be. For a variety of reasons that we will break down, we will address what did happen on the field, what didn't happen on the field, what has happened off the field since, what happened Saturday night, which was rather extraordinary, in which the SEC said, not in so many words, hey, we blew it. We got a call wrong. Gave Oklahoma a touchdown they should not have gotten. They did not deserve. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Kevin Skarbinski. This is ScarboKnows. After an action-packed, controversy-filled Saturday of college football, week 4, say thank you to all of you for joining us. I've got so many different ways to go with this. But first, before we really dive in to the deep end, Pat McAfee style on game day, let's say thank you to our sponsor, Money Management Services, located right here in Birmingham, Alabama. They are a family-owned, fee-only financial services that sets them apart. They are good friends of mine, the Rice family. They will take great care of you. Check out the QR code. Hook up with them, and they will do you right. And we'll hear more from Money Management Services later in the show. Okay, let's see where we go here. I don't know how many football games have stirred the kind of in-game, post-game, next day, 2 days after emotion that Oklahoma 24, Auburn 17 has. People are still talking about it, not just in this state, not just in the SEC, all over this country. It has become a jumping off point to jump up and down on the state of college football officiating, for one thing. And it may have been, in my experience, the worst officiated game that I've watched. I wasn't there. I watched it on television, but that I've seen in person on TV in my 40 years in this business. There were so many mistakes, calls that were made, that shouldn't have been made, that should have been made, that weren't made. And what really amplified the spotlight on the officials was an extraordinary move by the Southeastern Conference on Saturday evening when they issued a statement admitting that the officials made a mistake in the game. They didn't wait till Sunday. They didn't wait till Monday. They put that statement out on Saturday evening. Now, I was texting on Saturday evening with a former SEC official, not an official who wore stripes and ran up and down the football field on Saturdays, but someone who used to work in the SEC office. And they found it quite extraordinary that the SEC issued that statement that evening. He couldn't recall them ever doing that before, that quickly, to let the world know that they recognized that a mistake had been made by one of their officiating crews. So let's look at the statement and let's break it down. And if you really want to be honest here, the SEC is in a no-win position in this situation. And that statement that they put out didn't satisfy anyone. It made Auburn fans mad because it acknowledged that Oklahoma's first touchdown should not have counted. And if you recall, the game was 3-3, early second quarter. Oklahoma has the ball deep in Auburn territory because Auburn botched a punt snap. And so Oklahoma has a great opportunity to score. They get a penalty. And by the way, Auburn, yes, committed 13 penalties for 85 yards, or were flagged for 13 penalties for 85 yards. Oklahoma was flagged for 9 penalties for even more penalty yardage, 99 yards. Just a little fun fact there to keep in mind when you're trying to assign blame here and you're trying to connect dots in alleged conspiracies without any real evidence to back them up. So it didn't make Auburn fans happy that the SEC put out this statement that referenced a rule, Rule 9-2, Article 2, Paragraph B. Sounds like something out of a law book. And the general rule is called unfair tactics, which calls to mind so many different possibilities. But the key phrase in this rule that the SEC cited says, no simulated replacements or substitutions may be used to confuse opponents. No tactic associated with substitutes or the substitution process, key phrase, may be used to confuse opponents. And in the most important part of the rule cited by the SEC, this includes any hideout tactic with or without a substitution. So all of the Oklahoma fans saying, well, the receiver didn't go off the field. They didn't substitute. So therefore, that makes it all legal. That statement contradicts that notion. This includes any hideout tactic with or without a substitution. And let's be honest, it was a hideout tactic. The receiver sauntered towards the sideline. No, he didn't hurry off the field. Oklahoma wasn't hurrying. It was 2nd and 22 from the Auburn 24. And he sauntered over to the sideline, got about as close to the sideline as you can get without stepping onto the sideline. And then he turned, and Auburn didn't recognize him. He runs a straight route into the end zone. John Mateer finds him easily, uncovered, touchdown Oklahoma. Now, the SEC did not, the officiating crew didn't call it. Touchdown stood. Oklahoma led 10-3. So the official broadcast, or I'm sorry, the officiating expert, Matt Austin, former SEC official, on the broadcast, on the ABC broadcast.
Hey, all right, I'm in.
Pointed this out. Hey, there's our friend Buddy Martin.
How are you?
What's up, buddy?
Welcome. How you doing? I'm just kind of helping out your producers.
This call will be recorded. Something to say.
Well, I always got something to say, but I really was sort of helping out our producer.
Oh,
I didn't mean
Mr. Brendan. Mr. Brendan Martin.
That's it.
Actual relation.
He's got a problem with his internet. He has.
Okay.
Log in there. So yeah, let me Jordan. You go ahead, and I'll.
All right. Yeah, we were trying to get the graphic up of the statement, the SEC statement on what they said was a missed call in the Auburn Oklahoma game.
Yeah, I don't know. Your producer may have to, when he gets his thing working, may have to do it for you. But I know what you're talking about. It was a couple of very curious calls. And the one you talk about is where the guy was. There was a phantom. Right, the phantom path with nobody out there. The old days,
yes, the hideout tactic, as apparently it's referred to in the rule.
Yeah.
Which let me ask you, buddy, because this was this is an obscure rule.
Yeah,
it's not something you see. It's happened before. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss did this a couple of years ago. I don't remember anybody complaining. I don't remember it becoming a world crisis the way this one has become.
Well, it does feel like it when it's your team, and I was so shocked to see him so wide open. I didn't know why until I found out that they sneaked you on the field. And there's Brendan, your producer.
Hi. Sorry, everyone.
That's okay. Hey,
Well,
the more the merrier. The more the merrier, because everyone's talking about this call from this game. In a game that ended with Oklahoma winning by 7, when the SEC office admits, and they don't wait till Sunday or Monday, they put out a statement on Saturday evening there we go. There's the statement that touchdown should not have counted.
Wow.
That's extraordinary on its face.
No wonder Hugh Freeze is so upset.
And yes, Hugh Freeze, and he's got his weekly press conference coming up in a little bit. That'll be interesting to hear what he has to say, if he chooses his words carefully, if many Auburn fans have offered to pay the fine, if he will just be honest and blast everyone from Greg Sankey on down for what happened on Saturday. And it wasn't just this play, but this rule, like I said, it's kind of an obscure rule. I was vaguely aware that there was something in the rule book along these lines. I didn't know that you could get flagged for it, and this is the key phrase, a hideout tactic with or without a substitution. And they didn't substitute. And again, the Oklahoma argument has been that they didn't substitute. They also have said that the receiver looked at the official, checked with the official, as receivers often do, to make sure they're lined up correctly, and that he was given a go-ahead. Furthermore, let me add this to the mix. Toby Rowland, the sports director at News 9, and I think it's Oklahoma City, but I know it's in Oklahoma. He's also the voice of the Sooners. He put out a Twitter post today that says, according to a source, Oklahoma says it confirmed with the refs in their pregame meeting that they were going to run this play and that it would be deemed legal. If that is indeed true, we've got a serious disconnect here between what Oklahoma thought was legal, what Auburn thought was legal, what the SEC office itself said was not legal. So it's really kind of a big mess, isn't it?
It really is. And I heard Rob's show this morning, your colleague, Rob Brown, and he was talking about officiating. And there's a crisis because, as someone explained, I'm sorry, I can't remember the guest who said it. It's a great point. The officiating is getting so bad because the NFL has taken all the good officials, or many of them, from college. Colleges have taken whatever they can get from high schools, and high schools have run out to the point where high school officials are asked to do double duty, do 2 games a week. And the quality of the officiating at that level has really gotten worse, understandably. So there could be one of those shortage things, like toilet paper shortage when everybody glums on to it. I don't know. It seems like there's something definitely broken. You're seeing more and more poor calls and poor judgment and what have you. And everybody's always liked to holler at the officials, but now we see it all in slow motion, replay 1,000 times, and we can tell whether or not his pinky finger touched the ground or not. And so it's obviously quite auspicious into everybody. So we all want to be referees, right? We know how to call games, but that one seems like a real screw up.
Yeah, and that's a great point about the shortage of quality officials. And I know from my work with high school football in the state of Alabama, I've hosted Alabama Public Television's coverage of the Super 7 state championships for the last 3 years. This year, we're doing a game of the week every Thursday night. So I'm on site at a big game all around the state. And I've heard this so many times. I have one of my best friends is a high school football official.
Okay.
And they are begging people I hear commercials all summer long on local radio asking people to get involved, support the sports you loved. Maybe you can't play them anymore, but you can participate. You can be involved, become an official. Because they get so much blowback that a lot of people don't want to deal with it.
I understand that.
Which is exactly, it's totally understandable. But if look, SEC football is the best of the best. The Big Ten will have a different opinion. Others may have a different opinion. Dabo Swinney may think differently. Rhett Lashley said as much in the preseason. Other coaches could say what they want, but it's been proven over time SEC football is the best of the best. And so naturally, you want the best of the best in the officiating as well. And it doesn't appear that the level of officiating is matching the level of play.
I agree.
And I think that's what bothers fan bases all across the conference.
And kudos to you for being that involved at that level. Alabama high school football is some of the best. And, if you have seen football down here at the high school level, you just have no idea. I lived in Colorado 17 years and lived in New York, and that was laughable comparing what they did there in high school football, what they did in Florida. And now we had a good friend, Brendan and I did, a guy that did 6 Final Fours in basketball, so he was a pretty good official. He liked to train officials, and he would recruit everybody he possibly could to come train to be an official. He tried to get Brendan to come 10 times. Like, come out and learn how to be an official. But why would you want to spend your Friday night for $20 getting rained on and getting kicked around and in some cases getting punched and what have you? It's just not worth it. Now, it's too bad. We have to have a serious discussion about that. But meanwhile, this is just a case of poor judgment, mistake piled upon mistake. I can see Hugh Freeze almost blowing a gasket, and I can see now why he would, because I couldn't figure where did that guy come from. But as you say, if they cleared it in advance and the officials okay, and when a guy comes on the field and says I'm in, and the official goes okay, this guy's going to take it to mean you're okay coming in the game, right? I would think.
Yeah.
So that was a bad communications problem there, and I don't blame them that it cost them the game.
Makes me think that we haven't heard the end of this story. Now, and there were other, as you pointed out, buddy, there were other instances in this game. Oklahoma's first possession. They've got a second down. They're on the Auburn 40. They throw an under crossing route. There's a tackle. Then the ball comes loose. Auburn scoops it up, takes it the distance, scoop and score touchdown. Auburn 7-0. That's the call on the field.
I had a fumble on that.
Then we go to the replay review. Now, my understanding is, unless the evidence is clear and incontrovertible, you stick to the call on the field. And they replayed that so many times. And there were different opinions in the booth from the TV announcers. It was really hard to tell. And my point is, if you can't tell clearly that the call on the field was wrong, you have to uphold the call. But they didn't. They overturned it. Yeah, that's the first time Hugh Freeze blew a gasket in that game.
Yeah. And you're right. I thought sure they would not have enough to overturn it. And they did. And what I don't know, but I had it as a fumble originally. And then I didn't see anything to change my mind. And there was surely enough evidence in my mind to change it. Was there in yours?
No, I thought it might have been incomplete. I wasn't sure he had possession. I wasn't sure if his butt touched the ground while he still had possession before the ball started to come out. I've seen Zapruder film like still shots from Oklahoma folks on social media showing, his buttocks was clearly on the ground, play over, no fumble. And look, it was really too close to call. So that's why it surprised me that they overturned it. And then there was another instance late in the game. Now, this did not cost Auburn. And Auburn fans have complained about this, and rightfully so. But it showed the difficulty of officiating, but it also was an egregious mistake. Auburn threw a double pass. Quarterback to wide receiver. Cam Coleman, who's one of the best receivers in the country. Oklahoma could not guard him. I'm not sure anybody can. That guy's unguardable, number 8 for Auburn. He had a great game. And if Jackson Arnold were more accurate, we wouldn't be having this discussion we're having. Because he could have hit Cam Coleman for a couple of touchdowns that would have changed the game and given Auburn the victory. But on this play, late in the fourth quarter, Auburn is driving. They're trailing. They're down 16-10. They throw this double pass. Cam Coleman runs a fly route down the middle of the field. He beats the DB as he had all day long. And clearly, this one is not even close. The DB trailing him grabs him around the waist before the ball gets to him.
Yeah.
And the back judge is running because they're running at the back judge. He's running to get out of the way. He has his back turned to the play. He cannot see the play. I know he's not the only official out there. So he doesn't throw a flag. None of his partners pick him up. So there's no flag on what clearly should have been a defensive pass.
Clearly holding. Yes.
Now, in the big scheme of things, Auburn did convert. They got the ball. They went down and scored a touchdown. It did not prevent them from taking the lead. They missed the call, but ultimately it didn't cost Auburn because they went and scored a touchdown. They took the lead 17-16. But it's another example of just how poorly officiated this game was, just the mistake upon mistake that was pretty clear to the naked eye. But here's where I want to change gears, buddy, and I'm glad you're here to discuss this, because I know the reverence you have for journalism, for accurate reporting, for not buying into conspiracies unless you have clear evidence to support them. You've reported on difficult stories throughout your career. I've done the same. And you better be sure. If you're going to, it's one thing to say the refs blew it. It's one thing to say mistake here, mistake here, mistake there. But we have, for years now, gone so far beyond that into conspiracy territory. The SEC office is out to get Auburn. It's in Birmingham. Birmingham's a Bama. This is Bamaham, according to Auburn folks. And the SEC office favors Alabama. They take every opportunity they can to hold Auburn back. Those are serious accusations. And I know a lot of them are made by random fans on social media and should not be taken seriously. But I think it's also incumbent upon us, if we want to be considered responsible members of the media, to say, hold on, tap the brakes. Tap the brakes. Don't tell me that Greg Sankey is out to get Auburn, or that Mike Slive was before him, or Roy Kramer before him, or whomever at any point in time. That's irresponsible. I've seen I saw at least one well-regarded media person not take the opportunity on a podcast over the weekend, have the chance to shoot down that kind of theory coming from fans and let it linger, let it float out there, which gives it air, which is the kind of thing that gives these theories air. And it's dangerous, and it needs to stop.
And we seem to encourage it. I don't want to go off on a tirade right now about journalism because I'm really upset about it.
Yes.
I don't know that it means that much to that many people. I don't want to be sanctimonious and say, that my First Amendment rights are being violated or whatever, because it gets political. And then there you go. Once you go down that road, you have no way to get back off of it. So I just say, we've all got our principles. You are a very high principled journalist, a man of integrity who's done many breaking stories, had to stand behind some tough ones. All we have is the evidence in front of us. That's all we have. It's just like, you got to overturn it or you don't. I don't think you can conspire with, like you say, with conspiracy theories about the SEC is out to get you. In my lifetime, I've seen and heard hundreds, if not thousands, of accusations that people threw a game or the officials were biased. I'm not saying they're perfect. They make mistakes, as we saw, classic case. But I don't know of many or any that I've ever associated with who blatantly have lied or tried to steer a story in some way for their own personal gain as journalists. I just don't. And largely, they've been very honorable people in my lifetime. So you got to prove it to me. So, yeah, I do honor all those who do try to get it accurate. And there are a few of them out there who do it well. And I celebrate that.
And I also would say, and I'm going to guess that, like me, you have, officials, actual officials on the field. And through the years, you may have known them. I know I've known some. And they look, first of all, this is not their full-time job. And maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's something that needs to be addressed. I don't even know if that's possible. But they do everything in their power to try to get it right. They don't always get it right. And whatever percentage of time they get it right, we just accept it and move on. But the small percentage wrong a number of times, as we've already discussed on Saturday at Oklahoma, we do podcasts about it. We write columns about it. People scream all over social media about it. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. The Auburn fan base, the Auburn program, you Freeze, everyone associated with Auburn has a right to be angry today. But I'm going to flip it right here. And I did this kind of flippantly in response to the SEC statement. I wrote my own statement about what happened Saturday, and I think this is important for Auburn to help Auburn move on. Despite everything that happened, despite the overturned scoop and score for Auburn, despite the illegal hideout touchdown, 13 Auburn penalties for 85 yards, Auburn drove 75 yards in 14 plays to take a 17-16 lead with 7 minutes left. And from there, what happened? Oklahoma went right back down the field 75 yards in 6 plays to retake a 22-17 lead with a little under 5 minutes left. And after the kickoff, Auburn got the ball back with 4.5 minutes left and a chance to drive 90. They got a penalty block in the back, of course, on the kickoff return, but they had a chance. They had to go 92 yards to win the game, but they had a chance. And on that drive, what could have been an epic, heroic Jackson Arnold redemption story statement drive, Auburn committed a holding penalty and a false start penalty on back-to-back snaps. And then on 2 more back-to-back snaps, Oklahoma sacked Auburn for a loss of 4, and then they sacked Jackson Arnold in the end zone for a safety, making the final score 24-17. So who do we blame for that? Who do we point our fingers at for that? And then being really snarky, I said, echoing the SEC's last line of its statement, and I did want to ask you about that. Appropriate accountability should be applied without additional comment. In other words, Auburn, the best thing, the most important thing for that football team and that coaching staff, take accountability for the mistakes that you made. Because you, despite everything, you showed something that we haven't necessarily seen from Auburn in recent years. Despite everything that went wrong, you put yourself in position to win the football game late in the fourth quarter, and you didn't get it done. That's a positive and a negative. So the more that you can self-evaluate, the more you Freeze can figure out why Jackson Arnold got sacked 9 times. Sometimes it was the offensive line. Sometimes Jackson Arnold held the ball too long, which he has a tendency to do. Some of the same mistakes he made at Oklahoma, which is why Oklahoma and Brent Venables chose John Mateer in the transfer portal and allowed Jackson Arnold to leave and go to Auburn. He made some of the same mistakes. He showed a lot of guts. He led that go-ahead drive in the fourth quarter, but he still has a long way to go to be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. So you got to own that if you're Auburn. If you're Hugh Freeze, you only gave the ball to your running backs 13 times. That's far too few. You let John Mateer John Mateer completed 16 of his last 17 passes.
Yeah, that's true.
So Auburn, despite everything, again, this is a credit to them. They didn't roll over and lose by 2.5 or 2 or 3 touchdowns. They came back. They fought back. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah, that's very good. I can see where you come from there. My heart goes out to Auburn in a way, though, because they have struggled so to get where they are. They had a chance to win that game. Their defense played really well. But Mateer, didn't have his way with them all day, and he's ripped up a lot of defenses.
He's a gamer.
He is, and I think they can take away from that their defense is special. But when you get it down to the end, as we say in Florida, either you got it down or you didn't. And of course, Billy Napier hasn't, and you're going to pay the consequences. And so it's unfortunate, but it shows me that there is progress being made at Auburn by Hugh Freeze as we expected. It's just unfortunate. It's painful when you lose, and doubly painful when you lose on a so-called technicality, if we can call it that. You put positive light on it as well as negative. And so it's hard to live up to the appropriate accountability. Should be applied without comment. It's really hard. Your fans are enraged. I get it. I feel for it. But you know what? There's a phrase now we know quite well down here called turn the page.
That's the bottom line. Because Auburn now under Hugh Freeze is 14-15 overall. 5-12 in the SEC. 2-7 in one-score games. 0-5 against ranked opponents on the road. And by the way, Hugh Freeze and Billy Napier have the 2 worst records of current SEC coaches at their current jobs against ranked opponents on the road. Freeze is 0-5, Napier's 0-9. after the Miami
The
debacle.
big deal, though, is just that Freeze is going to survive the year. I don't think Billy will. So we'll see.
I think it's likely that Freeze will get a fourth year at Auburn. And now the key is going to be, and this is the best revenge for Auburn. After everything that happened and all the anger and the angst that this has caused, you got to move on. As you said, you got to turn the page. The best revenge, on to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
You don't have time to lick your wounds. You don't have time to focus on what happened on Saturday. Because if you do that, guess what? You're going to lose again next Saturday in College Station.
In a hurry, exactly.
And then you got Georgia after that. And then you got Missouri. And again, the league is so deep this year, as deep as I think I've ever seen it, that you have got to flush it. You got to flush what happened. You can't obsess about it and move on. And if Auburn does that, we will find out how much this program has grown under Hugh Freeze based on how they performed this Saturday at Texas A&M.
Yeah, it's true, very true. And we'll just see. You have to have the mentality of no conscience, like a defensive back. You get burned, that's football. Move on to the next page. And if you don't, you could get burned twice as bad this week. So we'll see what's happening. And there is no great team out there right now. I mean, Oklahoma looks very strong, but as we saw, they're vulnerable. They can be beaten. So we'll see where they all rise up. But boy, that last month of the season in the SEC is killer. Have you weighed in on the three-team scenario that everybody is going to get tomorrow? It was broken on three about what three common opponents are going to have.
I did have a thought on that. I have not seen that story.
Yeah.
Do you have it in front of you? Who Auburn and Alabama have got?
I don't have it in front of me, but I can get my hands on it.
Because with Alabama, we assumed it's going to be Auburn, of course, Tennessee, and LSU.
Well, let me go get it. If Brendan's not here, he can step in for a second while I'm doing that. I think.
And then Auburn, I will say this, and again, this is a little snarky on my part. I admit it. Auburn should be glad that it's going to get Alabama. It's going to get Georgia. The big question is who would be the third annual opponent. They're not going to get Oklahoma, and they should be glad. Because Brent Venables has coached 5 games against Auburn, 3 at Clemson as a defensive coordinator, 2 at Oklahoma as a head coach, and Auburn has averaged 15 points a game in those games. Brent Venables knows defense, and his defense was at its best on Saturday against Auburn. So they won't get them. I think Auburn should get Florida. Personally,
well,
you know the history.
I'll tell you who it is.
You know the history.
Go get
is it Vanderbilt? Is it Vanderbilt?
Hold on. Let me go get it. I'll come back to you in a minute. All right?
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's my thought, that the ideal choice, and this is going to be, we should just let everyone know, on Tuesday night on the SEC Network, they're going to reveal, as the SEC goes to a 9-game conference schedule starting next year, they're going to reveal the 3 annual opponents. And then you will rotate 6 other teams in the league one year, the other 6 teams in the league the next year, and then you'll swap those 6 back and forth, home and away. But you're going to play 3 teams every year. The good thing is if you stay for 4 years, you will play everyone in the league home and away. That's what a conference should be. That's what a conference should do. And that's one of the things that will set the SEC apart going forward. But I've believed that Alabama will and should get Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU. And Auburn should get certainly Alabama, Georgia, and I believe Florida should be the third one. And Buddy seemed to think that that's not the case. At least that's the reporting from On3. I had not seen that yet. A lot of people seem to feel that Auburn would get Vanderbilt as the third opponent. I'm not sure that's a good deal. We know what Clark Lee's done with that program. We know how well Diego Pavia is playing. They're not just beating people. They're destroying people. They did not enjoy losing to Georgia State last year, and they took their measure of revenge on Saturday. And how about this? If Alabama loses to Georgia on Saturday, could happen, very well could happen. It's in Athens, although Alabama's had a lot of success there and in general against Georgia. But Alabama right now is 17 in the AP poll. Vanderbilt's 18 in the AP poll, one spot behind. Alabama loses to Georgia, and Vanderbilt beats, I think they're playing Utah State this week, which they probably will. They'll probably name that score. Then Vanderbilt will be ranked higher than Alabama when they meet a week from Saturday. How about that? Who'd have thunk that? No one with any history or memory of the history of the SEC would ever think that Alabama and Vanderbilt would meet and Vanderbilt would be ranked higher than Alabama. That's just one of many, many reasons why Kalen DeBoer and Alabama need to beat Georgia on Saturday. And Georgia and Kirby Smart need to get that Alabama monkey off their back. Because here's a fun fact for that game. They have met, this will be the 12th time they've met, Georgia and Alabama, since Nick Saban got to Tuscaloosa for the 2007 season. And in that time, Georgia has been ranked higher than Alabama 6 times before they played. And in those 6 games where Georgia was ranked higher than Alabama, Georgia is 0-6. And Georgia is ranked higher than will be on Saturday when they meet Alabama this time. That's just a crazy stat. All right, buddy. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I got to give you this and head out. Which ones do you want first? I'll give you.
Give me Auburn first.
Auburn is Alabama, Georgia, and Vanderbilt.
Okay. Now again, this is reporting from On3.
They say it's a done deal. That's
okay.
What they're saying.
Okay. And Alabama gets
Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State.
Now, I understand that Alabama has played Mississippi State more than any other program in the league, even more than Auburn, because Alabama and Auburn didn't play for a long time because of some petty disputes back in the early 1900s until the legislator made them get back on the field together in 1948. That's not a game we want to see. We want to see Alabama-LSU. Alabama-LSU has become one of the marquee rivalries in the country over the last, 15 years. It's not as much of a traditional rival as Mississippi State. And Auburn-Vanderbilt, like I said, I'm not sure. My Florida friends, my sons who are Florida students may not like to hear this. Auburn might be better off getting Florida than Vanderbilt.
I agree.
Depending on what Florida does if and when they part company with Billy Napier. So there's the full list. Does anything surprise you, buddy? I see Florida. They have Georgia, South Carolina, and Kentucky. Georgia, Auburn, Florida, South Carolina.
I haven't had a chance to digest the whole thing yet.
Yeah.
But I wanted Auburn, but it's not going to happen. I can see why.
I did too.
Compared to Florida in a way.
Yeah.
Some of the schedules. I mean, some of these other schedules, like Oklahoma's got Missouri, Ole Miss, and Texas. Missouri's got Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. Again, one other one is that, as you know, Auburn's got Florida, South Carolina, and Alabama.
One key point we should make, buddy, is, and my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, if you think differently, is that the SEC has said that they're going to revisit this every 4 years.
That's what I understand.
So if, for example, one program takes a great leap forward, let's say Auburn uses what happened Saturday as fuel for its fire, and it continues to improve, and it goes 9-3 this year, and then it gets better next year, and Hugh Freeze proves to be the answer. I'm still not convinced, but he proves to be the answer and gets Auburn back to where they expect to be. Then all of a sudden, playing Auburn is a lot more challenging than it was the last 4 years.
Yeah.
What if Florida hires the right coach this time?
Yeah,
no guarantees, obviously. Their streak is not very good on that score. And then Florida becomes what it was under Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. Then you don't want to play the Gators every year.
No, there's another column to that on the right. You can't see them with the graphics there, what shows you all things. But, I mean, look, I'll go to my grave saying they blew it by not having Florida Auburn play. That was one time they were the third biggest rival on Florida's schedule. And I think it's the two schools have a lot in common. They're good. I think Florida fans like Auburn fans and vice versa. We've had I can go back to Gusty Year Out, and all the things I've seen. Don't forget Spurrier kicked the field goal against Auburn that won in the Heisman. So much rich history at Auburn.
Oh, yeah. John Reeves, wasn't the interception game against Auburn?
9 interceptions.
Yeah, John Reeves.
So if DJ Lagway feels bad, get some of that video. I was there that day. There was a guy named Bill Cody playing linebacker. He intercepted.
Wild Bill Cody for Auburn.
Orlando,
yes. Yeah.
And so I remember Spurrier saying from afar, way out in San Francisco, well, I guess I'm going to have to give them a few ball plays because they were dropping deep zones, and Reeves had never seen that. He was a gifted quarterback. So anyway, yes, a lot of rich history there. We'll see. It's a changing landscape. I mean, look, let's be honest. Look at Vanderbilt. I wouldn't want to play them right now. They're awfully good. And
no.
So
and Alabama's got to play them the week after they go to Athens.
Yeah,
it's perfect spot for Vanderbilt again, just like last year.
Boy, Clark Lee's done a fabulous job. Got to be coach of the year.
At this point, I think he's got to be the leader in the clubhouse, no doubt. Although they're not in the clubhouse, so that's not exactly a good analogy. Buddy, hey, buddy. The good thing, buddy, is though with this new 9-game schedule, even though if you don't play someone every year, you will play them twice in a 4-year period.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, it works. It evolves. It's a work in progress, and right now we're more worried about Florida getting a coach. That's the thing they got to do. So I think it's over for Billy, and I can't see how he can survive. But
yeah, personally, you don't like it, but professionally, it's how can you not make a move?
What are you going to do?
How can you not make a change?
What are you going to do? I mean, how are you going to defend that? I mean, look,
yeah,
we can talk about it all day, and I'll talk about it tonight on my show a lot, and we'll talk about it all week. It's open date, but we're going to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. And after a couple of names, I have a hard time coming up with anybody. I talked to Urban Meyer last week, had him on and talked. Not from a standpoint of his interest in his job. He said to me, buddy, it's a top 5 job. It's still a top 5 job. And I don't know, beyond Lane, I don't know who a top 5 coach would be. I'm not sure.
Well, I know I'm going to be following you and the Buddy Martin Show as this process unfolds, and that's what everyone else should do. Buddy, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a fun conversation on a Monday in the middle of college football season. Have a great show tonight.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right. And thank you to you for watching, for listening. We have gotten hot and heavy here in college football season. And like I said, the best revenge for Auburn is you control your destiny. You can decide your future. Forget about Oklahoma. Stop whining. Stop crying. Stop complaining. It will do no good. It's on to Texas A&M. Win there, and it's a whole different season down the road. All right. Thank you to Buddy Martin for joining me, to Brendan Martin, the executive producer on the Sidelines.live network. Check out the Buddy Martin Show this evening on the network. I'm Kevin Skarbinski. This is ScarboKnows. You have a great rest of your day. Check out our sponsor, Money Management Services. See ya.
Since 1992, Money Management Services in Birmingham has provided individuals and business owners with trusted, fee-only financial advice. We're more than advisors, we're your financial family. From retirement planning to tax strategies and estate planning, our team builds personalized wealth management plans tailored to your life. At Money Management Services, we treat you like family, because when you walk through our doors, you become part of ours.